Hello my dears, this is Sarah from She Holds Dearly. I want to hop on here today and show you how to make custom piping. And this is for upholstery projects and pillows. So you'll need to know something about sewing. If you can make a pillow, which is really, I think, one of the most basic decorating needs you're gonna have, and one of the most basic skills as someone who can sew. If you are a beginner sewer, you're gonna be fine with this, and it just takes your project to the next level. I'm all for DIY, but I want them to look good. I don't need it to look like junk, right? We don't need any more junk in our homes and decorating. So knowing things like this will take your pillows, and then I use it when I do upholstery. So it has a very finished look. It kind of frames whatever is going on, and it actually creates more structure. So a slipcover, I like to do piping on slipcovers because it actually will stay in place better and act kind of like a skeletal system or something. So I'm just gonna show you, for instance, I made this dog, it's dog pillow. But it does show you that I added custom piping on it. It says, and on that farm they had a dog. So I made this for my dog a couple months ago, and I added this beige linen piping on it just to give it a little more European look, and also to give it a little more structure. You can buy piping. You've probably seen it in Joann's. It's over by like the zippers and the binding, and they come in little packages. But when you buy your piping, sometimes I'll see gingham, maybe something with stripes, but pretty much you're gonna get a solid color, and there's not very many options or sizes or anything. But when you make piping, you can make it super teeny tiny, or you can make it huge, like around a rope, you know. So this is normally the size that I like. This is probably a pretty common one with upholstery and pillows. So what you first start off with is your cording, and this is about 1/4 inch, and this is like, I would buy this in the ribbon section at Joann's, and you need to figure out exactly how much you're gonna need. So if it's a pillow, just measure the outside parameter of your pillow, and then that's how much cording you need, okay? So this is about 1/4 inch thick. And I figured out what I needed. I'm actually currently making a cushion for a rocking chair that I'm making, and it's gonna go in my spring porch. So it's gonna be this ticking fabric. And I wanted it to have piping because I love that extra touch. It's worth the little bit of extra effort, and it's not very hard, so it's a skill that I think is worth having if you're a DIY decorator. So first of all, you need to go buy your cording, and then you need to decide on which fabric you're gonna use. So I have this ticking fabric. I actually got this at a garage sale. Now, there's a few tricks you gotta get right, or you'll hate this stuff. You gotta picture that this was originally a rectangle piece of fabric. Okay, you're following along with that. And you're going to cut a big triangle off, just a diagonal, okay? You've gotta cut it at a diagonal because see how it has this like stretch? It's called the bias. I'm not probably explaining this right, but if you were just to cut straight strips like this, it wouldn't have enough stretch. It's really strong this way. But if you cut it at a diagonal, you've got this, it's a lot more stretchy, which helps as the piping is going around corners and things. It actually isn't awkward and fighting what you're trying to do. So you've got to start with the triangle piece at a diagonal. Now, you can either cut on your triangle piece, which I'm going to do right now because I don't want to cut into the big pieces that I have left. Those are actually going to go on my cushion. So I'm just going to use my triangle piece. A lot of people would just toss this triangle piece and then start cutting on that big piece that's left that isn't actually a triangle, but now it has a nice diagonal on it. Okay, so you're gonna need 2-inch strips, and sometimes I just freehand this if I'm in a hurry, but if this is your first time, you need to measure it. So just so you don't hate it when you're trying to work with the machine and you're like, it's not wide enough, and you'll just be glad that it's the right width. So I just have my little tape measure, I'm putting down 2 inches, and I'm just gonna do 2 of these. Now, depending on how big your project is, you may just cut strip after strip after strip. So when I made the slip covers for our recliners, I made a ton of piping for that. So I just cut these 2-inch strips. I just kept cutting them and cutting them and cutting them. So you'll need to figure out how many, and it's gonna be the same length as your cording that you have, because you're gonna cover that cording. Okay, I've got my first strip. Looks like this, and you just get a whole stack of these going. I'm gonna do a second one just because I need to show you how to put them together. So obviously, you've got to make one long strip of this fabric, this good stretchy fabric. And this is the hardest part is actually putting these strips together, believe it or not. Okay, I've got my 2 strips. Now, if you know anything about sewing, you know you've got to do right sides together. So we're gonna do right sides together, but you can't just run them straight together like this. You have to put them at an angle. Right sides together, so you're seeing the back, and this is the front. But when it's stitched together, it's gonna be the right sides. It's gonna look like this when you first put it together. So it makes a right angle. It makes actually a corner like that. But when I stitch it together, it will make one continuous line like this. And I even got my stripes to line up pretty well, okay? Stripes are they're a little bit unforgiving. Sometimes you make something and you're like, oh, those stripes are supposed to be going horizontal and they're going vertical. So maybe don't do ticking if this is your first try, or if you don't care, don't worry about it. So you're going to stitch that together, and you're just going to do as much as you need, and then you take your cording, put it right in the middle, and fold it over and pin it into place. And then you go to your sewing machine and use a zipper foot so you can get, and even set your needle over as close as you can to the edge, because you want to get this stitching just super tight. You want to get the piping in there really, really tight. That'll look nice, okay? Then you stitch along where where you've got your pins, and you end up with this. Custom piping. One more skill for the DIY decorator. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you're excited about that little trade secret there, and take care, and I will talk to you soon.